cost of living, record high health care tragedies, record high human suffering, record low investments, record low job creation. The UPP refuses to accept the people's desire for change. For months, Madam Speaker, it played around with the election date, delaying and delaying and delaying.
Honourable Member. Honourable Member. Honourable Member, we're here to debate a single motion, and I will allow no debate on any other topic. So if you intend to continue, please confine the debate to the motion. Honourable members, honourable members. Honourable members, the motion and nothing but the motion. This is not an election speech. Honourable Member for St. Peter? Honourable Member for St. Peter, are you through?
I'll be guided accordingly, Madam Speaker. In principle, Madam Speaker, there's absolutely nothing wrong with reconvening Parliament today in these circumstances. But we have a serious issue with the timing, Madam Speaker, and the sincerity of the specific course of action being pursued by the government, Madam Speaker. And so we welcome the opportunity of being here today. Madam Speaker, we have had for 5 years of governance, Madam Speaker, in this country, which we have had vindictiveness, where people in investment have been afraid to come into this country. And Madam Speaker, the UPP have invited us here today to participate in this charade, in this unconscionable grab of Alan Stanford's land as the final act of desperation, calculated, Madam Speaker, to secure one last chance to try to win the March the 12th election. But it won't work. And while the UPP wants to acquire for public purpose, Madam Speaker, 250 acres of Stanford's land spread over 48 parcels before March the 12th election, all indications are, Madam Speaker, that this will only frustrate and eventually force the closure of the very Stanford companies that should remain open in the public interest. You acquire land, Madam Speaker, only for public interest, for public good. I want the Prime Minister and the Attorney General to tell me today, what is the public interest and public good acquiring ongoing businesses that have already been employing people, that have already been operating and providing gainful employment? It is not an open piece of land that you are acquiring, Madam Speaker. Many of the assets are still acquiring ongoing jobs.
Honourable Member, do you have a copy of the motion?
Yes, Madam Speaker. The responsibility, Madam Speaker, before us today is to be thoughtful. It is to be honest. It is to be innovative. And that's what you would expect a government to do, to protect the economic interests that may be affected by the Stanford fallout, Madam Speaker. But instead, the UPP has once again jumped behind the wheels of its vengeance bandwagon, blundered on the wrong track, and moving in the wrong direction, speeding in the wrong direction, Madam Speaker, because the overriding motivation is to try to win votes today by getting back at Alan Stanford under the false pretense, Madam Speaker, of defending the national interests. What national interests? Madam Speaker, I want now to examine the facts. With your permission, Madam Speaker, I want to spend some time going through the details of what is going on the public record in this most unfortunate manner, Madam Speaker. And with your permission, I want to read from the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States, which has charged Sir R. Allen Stanford and his 3 companies for orchestrating a fraudulent multi-billion-dollar investment scheme centering on an $8 billion CD program.
Do you have copies for the House this time?
Right here, Madam Speaker.
Please. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I would like to have the common courtesy to hear myself and not to hear that dumbbell from Woolnough.
Honourable Member?
He's really irritating me.
Honourable Member.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
You will withdraw that statement.
Definitely. I'm sorry, sir. Listen and learn, man. You didn't even pass any GCE.
Honourable Members.
Your head empty.
Honourable Members. Honourable Members.
He's irritating me, Madam Speaker.
I think you're playing to the gallery.
No, I asked the gallery please to keep down the noise so I can hear myself.
And then you proceed to entertain them.
And you are now in the gallery, Madam Speaker.
You are proceeding to entertain them.
But I haven't heard you tell them to be quiet, Madam Speaker.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
There's a lot of things you haven't heard today.
Stanford's companies in question, Madam Speaker, include 1, the Antigua-based Stanford International Bank. 2, the Houston-based broker-dealer and investment advisor Stanford Group Company. And 3, the investment advisor Stanford Capital Management. Let us note, Madam Speaker, that the Bank of Antigua was not included in the SEC investigation and is therefore not a party to the legal action filed by the Securities Exchange Commission. Madam Speaker, Bank of Antigua has already been taken over by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank through a consortium of OECS banking interests and the government of Antigua and Barbuda. But the land in the name of Bank of Antigua, Madam Speaker, and correct me if I'm wrong, is in the land being acquired today, the land in the Bank of Antigua's name? Isn't that part of the schedule? For public purpose, that has already, Madam Speaker, been addressed by the proper authority, which is the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. So why are they acquiring the land that Bank of Antigua sits on? I don't understand it. Pursuant to the SEC's request for emergency relief for the benefit of investors, the U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor entered a temporary restraining order, Madam Speaker, not a permanent one, a temporary restraining order, froze the defendant's assets and appointed a receiver to marshal those assets. Madam Speaker, the SEC's complaint filed in federal court in Dallas alleges that acting through a network of SGC financial advisors, SIB has sold approximately $8 billion of so-called certificates of deposit to investors by promising improbable and unsubstantiated high interest rates. These rates were supposedly earned, Madam Speaker, through SIB's unique investment strategy, which purportedly allowed the bank to achieve double-digit returns on its investments for the past 15 years. According to the SEC's complaint, Madam Speaker, the defendants have misrepresented to CD purchasers that the deposits are safe, falsely claiming that the bank reinvests clients' funds primarily in liquid financial instruments, monitors the portfolio through a team of 20-plus analysts, and is subject to yearly audits by the Antiguan regulators. The SEC's complaint also alleges, Madam Speaker, an additional scheme relating to $1.2 billion in sales by SGC advisors of a proprietary mutual fund wrap program called Stanford Allocation Strategy by using materially false historical performance data. According to the complaint, the false data helped SGC grow the SAS program from less